The Cincinnati Bengals went 6-11 last year, finishing third in the AFC North. I'll be blunt with you, much like the Browns, the Bengals have a one side of the problem issue, and it's really the defense. Those linebackers might be the worst that might be the worst graded group of linebackers I think I've ever seen on PFF. But if you watch them, they were so much worse. This is a Cincinnati Bengals team that was one of the worst rushing defenses in the league, and they were pretty bad passing defense too, but it wasn't nearly as bad as the rush defense. It was the worst rushing defense in the entire league, and that culminated in them being one of the worst defenses overall in the entire league. Now, it's no secret that the Bengals need to rebuild this defense overall, specifically rebuilding that linebacker room overall. Now, you could do that through free agency. I do have a linebacker that I think would be very good. The Bengals do have a good amount of cap space. If they do decide to restructure Joe Burrow and offer extensions to the corners, DJ Turner and Dax Hill, along with a couple of cuts from some players, I do think that they do have enough cap space to get a blue chip linebacker from this free agency class. You have Demario Davis available, Quincy Williams available, and Devin Bush and Caden Ellis are also available. The other way to fix the linebackers through the draft. And I think that if we have a pretty solid linebacker class overall for the Bengals, if you look at my mock draft, I have them drafting Sonny Styles first round, but it's much deeper than just a Sonny Styles. You have guys like Jacob Rodriguez, but I think fixing the linebacker core, it would go a long way for this defense. Regarding Joseph Osai and Trey Hendrickson, I'll be blunt. I don't think you keep them. I think you develop the guys that you have in back of them in Myles Murphy and Shamar Stewart. I think you develop those two as pass rushers. Overall, even then, the Bengals pass rush overall wasn't that good anyway with Trey Hendrickson there. But given how this year went and how everything went last offseason, getting rid of Trey Hendrickson should be okay with you. I think bringing Myles Murphy and Shamar Stewart and hoping that they become better players is a good hope to have. And I also think at safety, you could go ahead and maybe sign a pass rusher in case Shamar Stewart and Myles Murphy don't work out. Guys like maybe a Boye Mafe are available. Again, you have enough money to go out and maybe get a quiddy pay if Indiana doesn't want to pay him. Overall, I think using a free agency to up that front seven overall is going to be very important, very important. Now, the secondary actually isn't terrible. Like I said, DJ Turner and Dax Hill are quality players. I wouldn't mind maybe drafting a corner with that being said, only because the corner depth on your team isn't very strong. You do maybe have to think about bringing back Cam Taylor-Britt, maybe bringing him back on a 1-year, 2-year deal for cheap. And then drafting a free safety is going to be pretty essential. I don't think bringing back Geno Stone needs to be a priority. Now, as for the offense, the offensive line, I feel like, has been one of those things where it's just a constant problem that never gets solved. I don't know what else to tell Bengals fans other than Amarius Mims played relatively well at that right tackle spot, and Orlando Brown Jr. is okay. I think the offensive line this past year was much better than in years past, for sure. I don't think you should go this entire offseason without maybe making a few tweaks at center and guard just to develop some sort of a great run game, because I do think the run game last year for the Bengals was pretty below average. As a matter of fact, it was one of the worst run games in the league. So maybe fixing up the guard and center spot, it's a pretty good free agency class for that as well. Sean Ryan, in my opinion, if you could go out and get him to replace Ted Karras, I think Ted Karras is a depth piece more than he is a starter. So if you could go out and get a Sean Ryan or a center from free agency, that'll work. And bring back Dalton Risner, because I think Dalton Risner played very well at that right guard spot. Another thing to focus on the offense is a wide receiver 3, especially with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase at the helm. I do think that bringing in a wide receiver 3 and having another threat would be very productive. It'd be cheap as well. It doesn't have to be anybody crazy. It could be a Kendrick Bourne. It could be a Khalif Raymond. It could be a Tim Patrick. It really doesn't matter. But anybody's better than Andre Iosivas. I think Andre Iosivas as a wide receiver 4 works way better than him as a straight wide receiver 3. So overall, what can we expect from this offseason? I expect the restructuring of Joe Burrow. I expect this defense to be a heavy focus for the Bengals front office. I think if you fix the defense, right? You tweak the offensive line a bit. This Bengals team has made deep playoff runs before. Granted, it was a couple of years ago now, and it's a what have you done for me lately league, but you have Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow is a top 5 QB in the league. I think you got to use whatever cap space you have to fix his defense. I think you use whatever cap space you have to tweak a bit of the offense a bit. I don't think it's crazy to say that the Bengals can win the AFC North if they have a good offseason. But the reality is we have to see it happen. And quite frankly, it's hard for me to believe it. But don't be surprised if the Bengals do have an offseason like I'm saying right now. Don't be surprised if they're fighting again to be winners of the AFC North and potentially getting back to the AFC Championship game.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.